Did Angel have a takedown progression?
He certainly had takedowns. I would not say it was a progression, but there's a couple of things that he taught, and then each one maybe would have say 2 variations, like over the arm, an entry that goes over your opponent's arm, an entry that goes under the opponent's arm, and there's both from inside and outside positions. But it wasn't like a progression of teaching the way, for instance, the arm locks. It was a progression, or with wrist locks. And those are not as sophisticated, say, as what a small circle jiu-jitsu person would know and apply. But they're the core concepts that any martial arts system that does locks would understand.
What are the differences between the Cabales Largo Mano and Guro's Largo Mano?
I would say for starters, Giro's Largo Mano is a very extensively developed system, and in the Serrada system, Largo Mano is basically just a few techniques so you understand the concept.
So I guess Giro's is more like tactical in its sense, whereas Serrada is more of just as one of our
Serrada's tactical too, but I've got just 2 or 3 Largo techniques and a couple of variations on those techniques. And Giro's system is built around being Largo Mano. They use a much larger, much longer weapon than we do. Serrada typically uses 18 to 24 inch. The Guro people, they're using like 32 inch. I believe 31, 32. The Panuti that they use is a long weapon. So, the other thing I will say is I'm not an expert in Bahalana. I'm not really familiar with it. I do know that they have a short system that resembles Serrada very closely. I had thought, that maybe this was something that they developed in competition with Serrada. Michael Guro has basically said that it was there all along, though perhaps it wasn't a featured part of their system. It's like most FMAs, have to work in different ranges. They're not all exclusive to one range. And Serrada does incorporate all the way from, Corto to Largo. But the medium range and then into Corto is more the strength of Serrada.
Okay.
Escrima quickens the hands, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Turbocharges them was what some people would say.
Reaction time is immense, and it's that effect that I wonder if there's, in your opinion, a reverse in which you think there's maybe another art that might complement Serrada particularly. Something that maybe not even complement it, but kind of go hand in hand, that would blend with it.
It really depends what direction you would want to go as a martial artist. If I was a young person starting out, I would be complementing Serrada with a ground fighting art and with a kicking art. Okay, just as ways, because Serrada doesn't really focus on those things. Angel used kicks, but they were very basic. A front snap kick, a side kick to the knee, things like that. And he would do techniques, and he'd say, you already know how to kick. I don't have to tell you what to do. And the same thing. There's standing grappling, kind of that, Buno stuff, like, for takedowns that we have in Serrada. Not a lot, that I ever saw about going to the ground with someone. Serrada's not an art to go to the ground. It's an art to stand over the loser, or to be able to, stay, upright against multiple opponents. And that's a bit of a loaded question because, right off, there's going to be people who are purists who say, well, Serrada's a complete art. And it does have elements of all kinds of stuff in there. I've actually talked to Nick Diaz. He watched me doing a technique in a class one day and said, "Oh, we do that in grappling. We just do it on the ground." So we kind of talked back and forth about, how we apply the technique, which was actually a lot of fun. But, to my way of thinking, well, even angels. He said Serrada is not for fighting other Serrada people. If you just practice against Serrada people, you're missing the point. Serrada, he said, is designed to fight against other systems. Well, the best way to get experience of other systems, expose yourself. You either go train with them, or you spar them, or you get into fights with them. One way or another, you have to have a broader sense of what other styles, might do, how other people think, what their weapons and capabilities and development are based on. There's certainly a lot of differences between the arts to be appreciated. I also think it's important to look at the commonalities. If you break everything down to the root, how similar are they? And that's one of the things about Serrada, is it really kind of goes to the lowest common denominator to analyze the root function of techniques. But for instance, if someone was going to go to Indians, study Kala Ripayat, something like that, very versatile art. Then you notice that they have really deep, low stances, hiding behind shields. And then you start to think about, the Moros, and you look at the old photos of Moro warriors doing the same thing. There's a lot of commonality throughout the Southeast Asian archipelago in terms of weapons and development, all the way from India out through the Philippines and so forth, because, these were migrations that took place. These were empires that rose and fell through these regions. There was always trade by boat, because these are island cultures, very much water-based cultures. So, I see commonalities between Muay Thai and Eskrima, for instance. And, they are different arts, but, how do they relate to each other? Have Thai pirates and Filipino pirates ever clashed on the open seas or traded? I would say that would be an obvious yes.
No, how do you think he may have adjusted Serrada, or what parts of Serrada he would use to handle this explosion of MMA and those aggressive type of fighters?
So he gets to have the weapon. Well,
Yes and no, I guess.
The basic thing is 3 strikes and a man will fall.
Mm-hmm.
Killing the fangs. So, if a person's starting to come, start by, breaking the hands, breaking the head. Serrada tends to finish things pretty quickly. If you're hitting hard and fast with, a solid weapon, that's a lot of pain. Not a lot of people are going to come through. And we're not talking single hits either. We're talking about, they keep coming until the person drops. I had an experience years ago with, I went to one of the Dog Brothers gatherings, and I ended up playing with a cousin of one of the Machados. He was a young kid, and so he didn't have a lot of experience, so I hopefully gave him a little bit. He was going to, do the Dog Brothers thing, and he didn't know anything about a stick. And he was hanging out with a bunch of guys from San Francisco. They were kind of trying to coach him. That's how I met him, because they were all like, "Hey, Stickman," so I came over to say hello. And I'm watching what's going on. So I said, "Let me play with you for a little bit." And his thing was, he figured he could just, just charge in, take a hit, and take someone to the ground and groundwork them, which is like, okay, you're not really doing FMA, you're not doing stick work at that point, you're just going to, rush the guy and take him down. So I said, "Let's play." Well, he couldn't close on me because he didn't know how to defend against the stick. And now we get into, there's the MMA guy that you're talking about. Does he know how to defend against a stick, with or without a weapon? If he has a tactical sense to deal with it, you're getting down to who's the better man that day, right? Skill, luck, nerve. Luck's always a wild card. But in terms of how Angel would probably want to handle someone like that, he was not a grappler. He was a small person. He was very strong for his size, but it was not his advantage to, to close with somebody unless he had the advantage. And so when Angel went in for throws, it was like, he had like momentum and leverage on his side, and maybe he softened somebody up already. What he relied on was just like, incredible speed and, accuracy and ferocity in what he did.
How far do you think ferocity goes in making Serrada effective then? Do you think like the art lends itself to ferocity? Does ferocity enhance the art? I mean,
yeah, it does. It does. I mean, this is not a peaceful kumbaya kind of an art. Okay, this is an art that's based on killing another person, or killing the fang. Removing their capability of aggression against you. And it's a no BS kind of an art in that, we're not going to, it doesn't run and hide. It teaches you just to, go right in there. It's like, putting your head into the lion's mouth, so to speak, and just taking on the challenge. Holding your ground is a very determined state of mind. And so, yeah, nerve, ferocity. When I was doing tournament competition, one of the things was just pacing, that I was able to keep things moving at a pace that not all the other fighters were able to handle. An analogy in current terms might be, for basketball fans, the Golden State Warriors were able to keep relentless pressure against opponents, even when the bench came in, and they would just wear opponents down. And Serrada has that capacity. Though in reality, things tend to end very quickly. I mean, Angel, his saying was 3 strikes and a man will fall. Most of the fights he described were over in seconds, because that's just the way it works, because weapons do damage.